One night, Kana was conducting an investigation while hiding as if she were spying on something. Matsuri and her friends ran past the area. Not long after, Kana noticed a suspicious transaction involving members of the General Affairs Department and the Security Department, so she quickly took photos as evidence. When the transaction ended and both parties left, Kana immediately climbed down and began walking home. Unexpectedly, someone in a nearby car had noticed her. While Kana was checking the photos she had just taken, she realized that the Security Department and the General Affairs Department were secretly working together. A black car drove toward her, and Kana thought to herself how cheap the price of justice could be. She was convinced that if the photos were made public, one of the organizations would be exposed. The black car suddenly struck her, and the girl driving the car took the memory card from Kana's camera before fleeing the scene and leaving Kana behind. The next morning, the alarm in Chisado's room rang loudly. Chisado quickly got up and opened her curtains to greet the new day. She changed her clothes and prepared to leave for school, while Yuki was still sound asleep in his room. Chisado walked to Yuki's room and found him still fast asleep. She lay on top of him playfully, which startled him, and tried to wake him up since it was already late, but he refused to get up. Chisado kept shaking his shoulders, wondering why he would not wake up even though his cheerful childhood friend was already trying to rouse him. Because Yuki continued to ignore her, Chisado hugged him and rolled him off the bed onto the floor. She sat on top of him and teased him by asking if he liked being woken up that way. Chisado reminded him to hurry and get ready so they would not miss the morning train. Suddenly, Chisado noticed something on Yuki that startled her, causing her to scream in surprise and slap him out of reflex. Later that morning, Chisado and Yuki walked to school together and met Mifuyu on the way. Mifuyu believed that Chisado and Yuki were truly close since they were always together. Yuki jokingly asked if Mifuyu could still say that after seeing the red mark on his cheek. Mifuyu commented that the slap must have hurt and wondered what Chisado had done to him. Chisado admitted that she slapped him because he showed her something strange, but Yuki claimed it was just an accident. Mifuyu gently touched Yuki's cheek and told him she hoped the pain would fade soon. Yuki was so touched that he hugged Mifuyu and said she was always so kind, unlike Chisado. Playing along with the moment, Yuki dramatically declared that he loved Mifuyu and asked if she would be his girlfriend. Mifuyu thanked him warmly but said she had already fallen in love with someone else. Yuki was shocked to hear this, and Chisado commented that Yuki should have realized his feelings sooner, that it was already too late. Mifuyu encouraged Yuki to stay strong, believing he would find true love someday. Their playful scene ended up drawing attention from people passing by. Yuki, Chisado, and Mifuyu were all high school students. Mifuyu remarked that it had been a long time since they acted out a little play like that, but Yuki thought such antics were not appropriate for public places. When they arrived at their club room, Yuki noticed Mikuru bending down as if she were looking for something. He greeted her and asked if she had lost anything. Mikuru said she was just doing her usual routine. Before long, Chisado lightly tapped Yuki on the head for grinning in a way she found suspicious, suspecting he was having silly thoughts. Mifuyu then asked what Mikuru was doing. Mikuru stood up and simply said the word pink. Hearing that, Yuki jokingly asked if Chisado was wearing something pink, but Chisado quickly denied it and said her clothes were actually light blue. Just then, Nozomi arrived and greeted everyone, asking if Yuki had been scolded again. Yuki explained that it was all just a misunderstanding. Ei came in and teased Yuki for never studying as usual, followed by Ki, who called him silly in her usual way. Yuki insisted he had done nothing wrong, but Ei and he ignored his protests and began pulling various snacks from the shelves. While Nozomi opened another shelf, she was surprised when a pile of candy spilled out. She realized she had forgotten to turn off her candy-making robot, which she had named Amataku Mig-3. Ari and Ki tried to help clean up, but ended up slipping instead. A little while later, Oboro entered the room and was amazed by the sheer amount of treats scattered around. After they finished tidying up, Oboro showed everyone a new line of snack products made by the Umechin company. Ki expressed her envy that Oboro always received so many snacks from her family's company. Ei teased Yuki by saying he could eat as many snacks as he wanted if he married Oboro. Yuki was puzzled by how the conversation suddenly turned into talk of marriage. Oboro sat next to Yuki and asked what he thought about her suggestion. Yuki, still confused, wondered what Oboro was even talking about. Oboro clarified that they were really just discussing the chance to taste as many of the new snack sticks as they wanted. Chisado then suggested everyone try the new flavor of the snack sticks together. Oboro asked everyone to taste the snack he made. Ari and he immediately tried it and agreed that it was delicious. Oboro smiled and took note of their reactions, then asked Michiru for her opinion, but she simply said it tasted ordinary. When it was Yuki's turn to try it, Oboro seemed curious about how Yuki would eat the snack stick. To his surprise, Yuki broke the stick in half, which made Oboro wince in discomfort. Oboro could not understand why Yuki did that. Suddenly, Chisado took a small piece from Yuki's leftovers and tossed it into the air, intending to catch it with her mouth. Before she could eat it, Yuki quickly caught it first to stop her. Mifuyu explained that the snack was made of white chocolate, and Oboro apologized for forgetting to mention it to Chisado. It turned out that Chisato could not eat chocolate. Nozomi felt sorry for her, especially since Chisato was part of the food research club but could not enjoy chocolate at all. Eri and Ki wondered why Chisato could not just find a way to deal with her chocolate problem. Chisato thanked Yuki for stopping her earlier. All of a sudden, Hazuki, their teacher, rushed in and said the situation was urgent. Yuki was confused by her sudden entrance, but Hazuki simply grabbed a large glass of beer and drank it, claiming that she would not get drunk that easily. Hazuki then informed them that their club might be disbanded, shocking Yuki and the others. Later that day, a student council meeting was held. Mohaiji, the head of the General Affairs Department, spoke about a recent assault incident. According to the information he had gathered, the problem was connected to harassment of certain students, something even the student council president could not easily resolve. Mohaiji demanded that Yakumo, the student council president, step down and take responsibility, since he was the one who had appointed Yuki as the head of the General Affairs Department. Other council members agreed, but suddenly Satsuki arrived and voiced her objection. She apologized for being late because she had something important to investigate first. Mohaiji was clearly annoyed by her arrival. Satsuki, who served as the head of the finance department, then asked Mohaiji as the head of general affairs if he knew who would take over as student council president in case of an emergency. Mohaiji replied that of course the vice president would take over until the next election. Satsuki followed up by asking whether Mohaiji thought the vice president already had enough experience to handle preparations for the upcoming election, and whether the president should really resign without ensuring a proper election process. Mohaiji countered by bringing up issues of excessive spending in the security department, which was overseen by the president. Satsuki responded by presenting financial records from the General Affairs Department. She explained that she had received the records from an underclassman in General Affairs, and after reviewing them, she discovered several expenses that did not match the reported amounts. Embarrassed, Mohaiji quickly tried to cover the records and insisted that his department had no intention of committing any wrongdoing. Satsuki then suggested that they move on to discussing the incident that had occurred earlier that morning, and Mohaiji reluctantly agreed, preferring to change the topic. Throughout the exchange, Yakumo remained silent and did not defend himself. Rumors about the possible disbandment of many clubs quickly spread throughout the school. Satsuki's plan as the finance department head was to reduce the number of unnecessary clubs, cut funding for clubs with no achievements, and even disband some of them entirely. Reiji, a member of the Action Figure Club, said this was a serious problem for them. Their club required silicone rubber to create models, and they also needed materials to build displays for the cultural festival, which was held twice a year. The Action Figure Club made their products and stored them in a garage, which was why Reiji often earned the nickname Garage. Yuki was curious about a supposed propeller on Reiji's head, but Reiji denied having anything like that. Miyaru explained that the Action Figure Club needed a lot of extra tools and equipment, which were very expensive. Mifu added that the ingredients needed for their own food research club were also costly, meaning they spent quite a lot of money too. Yuki began to realize that since their club had no notable achievements, they would not have much of a case to argue against Satsuki's plan to cut clubs. While they were in the clubroom, Nozomi expressed her frustration, saying she did not want the food research club to be disbanded. Mifuyo reminded her that the plan was not final yet, even if Satsuki became the next president. However, Ei and Ki believed that Satsuki had a strong chance of winning because she was popular, attractive, and very capable. Chisato agreed that nothing had been decided yet, but Hazuki boldly predicted that Satsuki would definitely enforce her plan if she became president because she was a very serious person. Momoro was surprised and asked if Hazuki knew Satsuki well. Hazuki then revealed that Satsuki was actually her younger sister. Uli and Ki were shocked to hear this, especially since Satsuki and Hazuki did not look alike at all. Satsuki was stylish and seemingly perfect, while Hazuki had a different vibe. Chisato asked Hazuki to talk to Satsuki, but Hazuki admitted it was impossible because Satsuki was too stubborn. Uli was unsure what they should do, and Ki suggested supporting a different candidate. In the end, only 3 departments qualified for the first campaign round. The security department had no candidate because their leader was disqualified, which meant they would not participate in the next election. As a result, Satsuki's only opponent would come from the General Affairs Department. Yuki and his friends spotted Mohaiji from the General Affairs Department campaigning nearby. Yuki felt that it might be too much to vote for Mohaiji, who looked as if he was wearing a mask. However, Chisato pointed out that Mohaiji was not wearing a mask at all. He simply was not very handsome. Yuki started to wonder if he was the only one seeing Mohaiji as if he had a mask on, just like how he thought he saw a propeller on Reiji's head the other day. He began to suspect that maybe he was imagining things. Suddenly, Mohaiji approached Yuki and introduced himself. He politely asked Yuki and the others to vote for him as the next student council president and handed them a prepaid cafeteria card. Chisato questioned whether this meant Mohaiji was trying to bribe them. Mohaiji quickly denied it and explained that it was only a small token of appreciation. Before long, other students nearby started calling out to Mohaiji and asked for the same card, and he happily handed more of them out. Shiseto realized that what Mohaiji was doing went against the rules, but Yuki pointed out that it technically wasn't a violation since the official campaign period had not started yet. All of a sudden, a girl came running and couldn't stop in time. She accidentally bumped into Yuki, causing him to fall. Yuki was startled when he realized how close she was as she quickly apologized and asked if he was hurt. Yuki also asked if she was okay. After the girl left, Shiseto noticed the small smile on Yuki's face. It turned out that the girl was likely a scholarship student since she boarded the special bus provided for scholarship recipients. Shiseto guessed that she might also have a part-time job, which could explain why she was in such a hurry. Yuki then noticed a key on the ground, which he assumed might belong to the girl. Later in the club room, Shiseto and the others refused to support Mohaiji because of his questionable tactics. They had all sensed trouble since they did not have a strong candidate of their own to back. Hazuki suggested that one of them should consider running for student council president, but Yuki was unsure if any of them could actually win. Hazuki pointed out that they could either stay silent and do nothing or take a chance, even if the odds were slim. If there were no other options, trying would not hurt. Shiseto agreed because she did not want to just sit around and watch their food research club get disbanded. She even felt excited about the idea of standing up to the finance department. Everyone else shared her determination because they all wanted to protect the club. Mikuru said she would support the plan if Yuki was willing to take the lead. Yuki agreed and encouraged his friends to fight alongside him. The group joined hands in solidarity. After that, Yuki asked which of them would actually run for president, but to his surprise, everyone pointed at him. Meanwhile, Yakumo visited Kana in the hospital. He informed her that the election was about to begin and asked what he should do next. At that moment, Kimika lay quietly, unable to move her body. Yuki wondered why his friends had chosen him to run for student council president. They supported him because he was always willing to help, while Ki reminded him not to back out. Nozomi was ready to support him in any way she could, and Oboro promised to always be there for him. Mifuyu also believed that Yuki was the right person for the job. Yuki admitted that he did not feel qualified to become president, but no one agreed with his doubts. Hazuki pointed out that Yuki was popular because everyone trusted him, yet Yuki felt that people were simply pushing responsibilities onto him. As the head of the food research club, Shiseto insisted that Yuki should run in the election in order to protect their club. Yuki remembered a moment from childhood when he and Shiseto once delivered flowers to a bride at a wedding. Shiseto had playfully asked the bride to attend her own future wedding with Yuki. The bride smiled and said that it seemed like Yuki and Shiseto might already be in love. At that time, neither of them understood what love really meant, and the bride told them they would understand once they grew older. Even now, Yuki still felt uncertain about love, believing it was something he could not quite reach. Shiseto encouraged him to keep trying, telling him that love was closer than he thought. Yuki then woke from a nap to find Shiseto unexpectedly in his room. Still half asleep, he accidentally brushed against her shoulder when he reached out his hand. Startled and embarrassed, he quickly asked why she was there. Shiseto teasingly mentioned that people sometimes talk in their sleep and revealed that Yuki had murmured her name. Flustered, Yuki denied it and tried to change the subject, insisting that he wanted to find the person truly meant for him. Shiseto was confused by his words, while Yuki explained that dreams sometimes felt easier than reality. Shiseto reminded him that they had a Sunday club meeting to discuss the upcoming election, but Yuki refused to attend and even said he might quit the club to avoid becoming a candidate. Meanwhile, Mifuyu and the others reviewed a financial report from the school's accounting department and discovered that the Food Research Club was at the top of the list of clubs scheduled to be disbanded. Ki pointed out that Yuki was the only one who could save the club by becoming student council president and overturning the decision. Shiseto informed them that Yuki had already refused and was thinking about leaving the club. While walking alone to school, Yuki wondered why everyone kept forcing responsibilities onto him. As he was lost in thought, Matsuri came running and accidentally bumped into him before quickly continuing on her way. Soon after, Ayumu passed by and greeted him, followed by Mao, who also offered a cheerful hello. Yuki realized that he had just encountered several girls from Matsuri's group. Moments later, a bicycle came speeding toward him and collided with him. Yuki winced in pain and instinctively apologized, only to be surprised when he recognized the cyclist as Satsuki. He quickly helped straighten her bicycle. Satsuki assured him that he did not need to apologize, admitting that she was also at fault for riding too fast to brake in time. She learned Yuki's name after noticing a dropped name card. Remembering that he needed to return a key to the academy, Yuki became nervous and repeatedly apologized. Satsuki smiled and gently told him that saying sorry too often could make the word lose its meaning. Yuki understood and gave one final sincere apology, which made both of them smile. Before parting, Yuki carefully corrected her on the proper way to pronounce his name, and Satsuki responded with a warm smile, calling him amusing. Elsewhere, Oboro asked Chisato why Yuki wanted to quit the club and why Chisato had not convinced him to stay. Oboro then decided to try persuading Yuki directly and called him. However, instead of a serious conversation, Oboro jokingly teased Yuki with exaggerated claims about their friendship. Yuki chose not to respond to the playful remarks and quickly ended the call. Oboro admitted to herself that she had failed to change his mind. At that time, Yuki passed by the lost and found room and noticed a girl he had met the day before stepping out. He greeted her and returned the key he had picked up earlier. She was delighted and asked where he had found it. Yuki explained that he had discovered it at the spot where they had accidentally bumped into each other. Grateful, the girl revealed that it was the key to her house and expressed relief that he had returned it so quickly. Yuki felt glad as well, realizing it was worth the effort to bring the key back in person. She was surprised that Yuki had come to school on a Sunday, and Yuki mentioned that he had planned to attend a club meeting. When she asked which club he belonged to, he explained that he was in the Food Research Club, which mostly focused on tasting snacks. The girl thought it sounded fun. Yuki asked if she was also attending a club meeting, but she gently explained that scholarship students were not allowed to join clubs at their school. She added that she needed to leave soon to work at a factory. Before leaving, she introduced herself as Isara, a first-year student. Meanwhile, Nozomi was in tears because she could not accept Yuki leaving the club, even saying that she might feel like dying without him. Their friends were shocked to hear such an emotional outburst. Nozomi kept a photo as her phone wallpaper, but it turned out to be just a picture of herself with an Ujima roll. She felt heartbroken, realizing that she might never get to taste Yuki's handmade Ujima rolls again. At that time, Yuki was walking alone, wondering why he kept bumping into so many pretty girls that day and joking to himself that maybe his luck was on the rise. Suddenly, he collided with someone again. Thinking it was yet another chance encounter with a girl, he was surprised to find two male students stopping him instead. They asked if he was from the General Affairs Department or the Finance Department. One of them grabbed Yuki's name card and discovered that he was actually a member of the Food Research Club. Not long after, their leader arrived and ordered them to release Yuki. They turned out to be from the security department. Their leader, Takumo, told them to let Yuki go and remarked that it was unlikely anyone would try to catch him with only a short time left in his current role. The two students apologized for their rough behavior and helped Yuki back to his feet. Yuki understood that they were only concerned about the possibility of violence during the election season.